Online with Amr The Internet Guy. Stream it today on your favorite podcast platforms. This podcast focuses on entrepreneurs and business owners, helping them become more successful in conducting their business on the web without being stuck with technology.
Hi guys, welcome to episode number 7 from Online with the Internet Guy. My guest today is Sondra Barker from Newport Beach, California. Sondra is a digital marketer and she is a food and travel connoisseur. We're going to be talking about website optimization. And a quick reminder, guys, if optimizing your website is something that you want to do and you think it's too technical or too complicated, we can do it for you. We have a package that will make your WordPress website load amazingly fast. I'm going to be posting the link to that package down below in the notes. So without further ado, let's hear from Sondra. Hi guys, I've got Sondra Barker with me here joining. Thank you, Sondra, for being here today. And I'd like you to tell people who you are, where you live, and what you do.
So I'm Sondra Barker. I'm in Newport Beach, California. And I have a marketing company called Butterfly Social Media. And then I also have a media website called Cuisine and Travel, which was originally more of a hobby, but it actually became pretty popular and lucrative. So that's Cuisine and Travel is kind of like my little baby that I'm always working on.
So does that mean you have to go to every restaurant in town and film it?
I do, but I enjoy it. That's why I started it, because all I wanted to do is eat and go to nice restaurants. So it worked out nicely.
This is nice. So okay, let's talk pre-COVID-19, because I'm sure things have changed now. Was it only your city, town, or did you have to travel to other places to get this, to film the reviews and things like that?
I do mostly for Cuisine and Travel. It's mostly articles. So I would go to a lot of different restaurants. There would be like a ton of media events and, food and wine events. And then I would also, travel and kind of do like travel guides. So that definitely changed. And the media events have started up again. And I did a lot of like delivery stuff and tried to still support kind of the restaurant industry through their deliveries. But I also did a ton of recipes, which was great because I'd been wanting to start a recipe section on the website. So that was really fun. So I worked on a lot of recipes and it went really well. It actually doubled my traffic.
That's great. I mean, I can't think of anything more fun than actually traveling to places and then telling the world about it.
That's why I did it.
I used to work for an airline, so I did travel a lot. Like I can't count the number of countries, but there are so many. And at the time, we didn't have technology. So there was no way for me to tell more people about it, like unless you meet them in person and tell them.
Yeah, things have definitely changed with all the, social media and websites and bloggers and influencers. It's a whole new world now.
And is it safe to assume that Newport Beach is a place that has like lots of restaurants and hotels and places to go to?
Yes, Newport Beach is beautiful. It's Southern California. It's in between Los Angeles and San Diego. It's a really popular area, but amazing, top-notch restaurants. There's a ton of things to do. I mean, I'm probably like 30 minutes from Disneyland. There's just every direction. There's tons that you can do. It's driving distance from a lot of different wineries. So I do cover different wine.
Yeah, is that wine country? I was going to say, yeah. Is this place wine country?
So I'm not. Newport Beach is more of like a beach city. So we're like right on the beach and it's beautiful. We're right by Laguna Beach. If you remember like the hills and all that, we're right nice. There. But in every direction, there's, Temecula, there's Napa, there's Paso Robles. So there's tons of wine countries in California.
Interesting. Yeah, because you got the weather.
Yes, we have the best weather.
It's too cold where I am. Like we have BC, like we are the only province in Canada that's a little bit less cold. So they call it.
Yes, you're in.
And
I love Vancouver. Vancouver's beautiful. We actually did we have a Vancouver travel guide.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is that on your website?
Yes.
I'll check it out. So it's okay. What's the name? What's the website? Actually, let's tell people
So
about it.
my little, hobby website, my media site is Cuisine and Travel.
.com.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Which means you probably got the domain name earlier. Because you don't have a
Surprisingly,
dash
I
or a
didn't.
number or
I didn't. I
really?
got really lucky. My original website was Pretty Fit Foodie.
Okay.
And I wanted to rebrand a few years ago. I wanted something that was more marketable, that sounded more like a professional media site. And, I just kind of brainstormed. I'm really good at finding websites. So I just brainstormed and, it wasn't taken, which is amazing.
So if people are thinking, if somebody has a business idea and they're not sure what domain name to get, they should talk to you.
Yes, I'm so good at finding good domains.
Nice. Yeah, I'm having trouble actually naming my podcast episodes because what happens, I meet a lot of interesting people like you and we do the interviews. And because we talk about so much, I can't fit like this in a 70 letter or less because the title is about 70 letters. And it's like, okay. And then it has to have the podcast name and the episode number. So that makes me, let's get a title in like 50 letters. I find it hard. And yeah, it's nice if like for some people, this is easy. It just comes like you get the idea in your head right away.
Yeah, I take notes on headlines.
Yeah.
It's something that I teach in my marketing, is how to research and come up with different headlines that grab people's attention.
Oh, I'd love to use your help, especially for the podcast.
Yeah, I'll teach you after.
You probably give me the title for this episode then, since it's your episode. So yeah, I'm gonna look for you for the title. For people who don't know how we met, so we're both part of a group called Divi Web Designers, and it's full of web designers and graphic designers. And it's funny because I was under the impression that your business is web design.
No,
turns out you're a marketer, so design is just
my business is marketing.
Yeah,
but my Cuisine and Travel, that site is my baby. So I started that in like 2014, and that site is built on Divi. So
nice.
That's why, and I'm not a web designer, but I'm self-taught. So I learned.
You've been using Divi from 2014. That's like kind of Divi version 1.
Yes, I'm like original. Like I'm like an OG.
Wow. We should tell the guys who made Divi, the guys at Elegant Theme, like you're one of their first backers.
I've been on it forever. I mean, once you're on Divi, you're on it. Like you're not, it would be very, very difficult to try and switch to a different theme.
Yeah.
And I have enough headaches to deal with. So once you're on it, you're on it. And every time they do like a major update, I cringe.
You brace. Yeah. Would it break my sides? It shouldn't.
Yeah, it just happened.
I've never actually seen a Divi update breaking any site, but what happens is that you probably, not you, but like somebody, you would have a plugin that has a problem that the problem doesn't show. And then once Divi update or WordPress updates, the plugin starts to act funny and prevent you from doing things on the website.
Well, I had like a very unique situation where when they switched to Divi 4.0, I was having, it completely distorted my site. And someone from tech support had uninstalled it and something went wrong when they tried to reinstall it. And it like literally completely crashed my site. And then they had to put my website on, my site was on a child theme, and then they had to put it on the parent theme. And when they did that, I lost like a ton of CSS.
Oh, the customizations. Yes.
Yeah, I had to start a lot of things over. So I cringe anytime I have to update Divi, which is, well, when we start talking about optimization.
Yeah.
it was kind of something that I recently just had to deal with because my site was not updated past like Divi, 4.1 or something like that because I was afraid to touch it, but I had to update it, which was like another week of work to deal with.
Wow. I'm interested to know first, why did you decide to do your own websites and not ask like a web designer for help?
I've always been a do-it-yourselfer. So
Okay.
if I'm kind of have my mind set on doing something, I just, I research it and I just figure it out. And I knew a little bit about web design, but not like on WordPress or like something as, more complicated, more on like your typical like Wix or something like that from back in the day. But I've always been a do-it-yourselfer, so it wasn't even something that I had thought about. And this was like years ago, and I was
Yeah.
younger, and more on a budget.
So because I have had this conversation with many business owners, and to my surprise, the majority of people who have decided to DIY it was because of a bad experience they had with somebody, like either the person was not responding or I don't know, like left them high and dry in the middle of a project or something like that. So it's interesting to me because in one of my podcast episodes, we speak about, do web designers have a reputation? So I'm glad you're the first person who did it, who's not saying, oh, I did it because people were horrible or.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that it's probably, it's a little difficult when you're relying on someone that you maybe have never met in person, or
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe they're based somewhere not even near you. So there's not even an opportunity. So there's definitely, when it comes to web development, there's definitely like a lot of trust that you have to have with the web designer. So, I mean, I guess from that aspect, I can understand, this is definitely, web design is a very like referral based business because
It
it's
is
definitely built on
indeed.
trust.
It has to be someone you trust or someone who is trusted by someone else, like,
Yeah.
like in the network, in your, and we've gone through this actually in episode 5. It was me and one of my coaches, web design or business web design coaches, Josh Hall. He's in Ohio, and he teaches web designers how to be successful in the web design business. So it's not teaching them. Some of his courses are CSS, of course, and Divi courses, but a lot of the stuff that he talks about in his courses is about running the business. So he's building relationship, how to deal with a difficult customer, and how to actually make sure that you're truthful to, your customer. And if there's an update, maybe you're late in delivering something, always let them know and things like that. And I love this because it's a relationship. It's like a friendship or, a business relationship between two partners. And it should always be that both sides are clear in their communication, and you shouldn't be scared. Like, things can take a little longer. And I'm sure with your experience doing your own websites, sometimes you'd say, you know what, I'll do this afternoon. And then a little bit onto the process, you realize that it's not a one afternoon job.
Yes. Well, web design is incredibly, incredibly tedious. So I will stick to marketing because the only thing, I have patience for
Yeah.
my own website, but I would not want to deal with the issues that I deal with on a daily basis and with other people's
Imagine,
websites.
yeah, doing it for others. Yeah.
It's a handful. And I give, any, web designer, IT, I give them tons of credit because it is, it took me like a week to optimize my website. Then I had to almost start all over. It
Oh,
was
God.
just,
So let me first ask you, why did you think that your site needed optimization? Like, how did you get to know about that?
so I, for a very long time, thought that my site was optimized.
Okay.
And it was not even close. So for a very long time, I thought, oh yeah, my site's totally optimized. So I have a media site. So I do a lot of photography. I'm like a culinary photographer. So all of my articles have tons of pictures. There's tons of media. So I did, some research, and I learned about the Amazon S3 bucket,
Okay.
where you can basically offload
Put your
all
media there.
yeah, you offload all your media onto an S3 bucket. It's on the Amazon server, and then it gets served back to your site. And so I set that up, which was such a headache. It took me like 1 to 2 weeks to figure all
You
that
have to
out.
take every media file and put it there, and then get the link and put it back in. Yeah.
I put it, I did the CloudFront CDN so that all the images were served back to my site through a CDN, so I didn't mess up my SEO. And then I use the offload media plugin to offload all my images for me. So I'm thinking, oh, well, my images aren't even on my server, so they're optimized. Wrong, they're not. Still have to optimize your images. So you still have to size down all your images, then, offload them to the server. So I didn't have any of that done. And when I started my website, which was all the way back in 2014, I didn't know anything about any of this. So I was just, uploading my pictures. So I have tons of pictures. I'm talking, especially when they create different thumbnails and sizes.
Yeah.
There's over like 8,000 different
Every
images.
photo will have like 4 different sizes.
Yes, exactly. And then I had CloudFront, and my website was being served through CloudFront. So I thought, oh, it's totally optimized. My site's on a CDN now. So, and then my site was a little slow. So I switched my hosting. So I switched to SiteGround. And then they have their own optimization
They have
plugin.
their own plugin. Yep.
So I thought, oh, I'm set. Everything's optimized.
It's done. I'm on a CDN. Yeah. And SiteGround has their own plugin. I'm done.
So I kept, I was running the test scores, and I would see it, but I guess I just kind of ignored it because I thought, no, my site is totally optimized. And then I was in a group, and I was bickering with another marketing person. We were disagreeing on something, and they totally called me out about how slow my site was, and like posted my my shitty site.
Not good to do.
Speed. Yeah, they totally tried to like undermine my intelligence by saying your website is whack and it's really slow. So what do you know? But I was like, oh, and all this time
challenge
my
accepted.
Website is optimized. So then, that put a little fire under my ass, and I was like, okay, clearly my site is not optimized. So I need to figure out what's going on. So I found out through SiteGround that because I was serving my website through the CloudFront CDN, that none of their optimization features were actually working.
Yeah.
They were not optimizing
because the stuff comes from CDN, from the CDN itself, not from SiteGround.
And then I obviously realized that like, even though my images are not on my server, they still need to be optimized. So then I had to figure out an optimization plugin and an image optimization plugin that would be compatible with CloudFront and with offload media, with the S3 bucket. So that was like another challenge that I had to deal with. And then, so I ended up going with WP Rocket and EWimage, EWWW.
Oh yeah, ew,
image.
yeah.
Because
how many W's are there? Ew, yeah.
Ew, several W's. So
I don't know if it's 2 or 3. Yeah.
They're compatible with offload media. So basically, they will optimize all the images, and then it will go to the server. So they optimize it first. And then WP Rocket is also supposed to be
Yeah.
compatible with CloudFront. So that was like one of my first trial and errors. I actually tried 2 different optimization plugins. I tried I think it's called Hummingbird.
Hummingbird, that's the WPMU.
Yes, so I tried them first. And then I also tried like W3 Cache or something.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
So WP Rocket got me the best results. So I canceled the other 2 and I stuck with W3 Rocket, but it wasn't working well with the CloudFront CDN. So
what was your loading time before you started that exercise?
Gosh. Okay, before I optimized my site, it was so bad. My ratings were an F. So I was an F.
F is not a big deal. I'll tell you why in a sec, but.
Well, my ratings were an F. I had 800 requests.
That's a big deal, but I also think it's because you're media rich.
Yes, tons going on. So I had 800 requests, and then I had then my loading time was over 20 seconds.
That's the thing. That's where it hurts. 20 seconds.
It was all bad. It was just
20
bad
seconds.
all
It
around.
means more than half of your website visitors would leave before seeing anything.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I'm surprised that I've been getting the traffic that I have been getting because of how bad my site was. So my next experiment is to kind of see how all this optimization improves.
I'm interested to know, when you say you were getting good traffic, right? Was it traffic that you have directed yourself? Like, for example, social media traffic, you blog and then you share the post somewhere and then people click and come to your site to read it. So it's your work bringing the traffic rather than people finding the site on their own?
So it's both. Half of it is organic. And then I also get a lot of referral traffic from Pinterest.
Great. And
so I get a lot of both. Like my site is very,
do you know what was your bounce rate
during that SEO time? Is very good.
During that time when it was 20 seconds in loading, do you know what was your bounce rate? Because I'm assuming that was too high.
So I don't remember off the top of my head what my bounce rate was. So I'm probably going to check that again because I want to compare it in like a month.
You need a little bit more data than a month, but a month should at least show you that you're moving to the right direction.
Yeah, I want to see an improvement. And I get my site currently, especially from when I added recipes, it gets around 50,000 to 60,000 views a month. And that's with having shitty optimization.
Oh, God.
So my goal is to get it to 100,000.
Okay, let me ask you, we're going to go back to the optimization part.
Yes.
But you got my interest somewhere now, but let's pause on the optimization. We've reached the point when you said you were using the Rocket, WP Rocket, and you started to see some results from the 20 seconds. But I'm interested to know, because 50,000 visits a month, that's great traffic. So
it is.
What is your main call to action? I'm interested to know what's the conversion rate out of the 50,000 visits. How many clicks on a button, or how many, people joining a list, or how many people are doing your call to action from the 50,000?
So I have, my email list is like around 2,000 people currently.
So yeah, I'm bad with math on the spot, but
I have some ads.
So what do you think roughly the conversion rate was at the time, between the number of people who actually land on your homepage and the number of people who somehow contact you, get on a list or click a button or download something?
Well, this is all very recent.
Okay.
So I haven't had enough time to kind of test it and see if my conversion rate goes up, and my conversions are a little different than your conversions, because a lot of what I do is also, I have some ads on my site. I do a lot of Amazon affiliate links, and I do a lot of sponsored work. So,
Oh, okay.
So
most of it is direct, like it's a result of an activity that you've done.
exactly. So it's people, a lot of it is also local, which is why the recipes helped so much, because it's a broader base, it's a broader audience. Whereas a lot of the restaurants, it's very local. So that's why it's so search engine friendly. If someone's looking up a local restaurant or a local event, my articles will often show.
Perfect. I mean, I love that, the fact that you're doing all this work on your own. It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And I'm assuming that a lot of people would be contacting you to do the same for them, especially on the SEO front. And, just for our audience, to give you guys a background about site optimization in general, to me, it's always been so important. But to the average small business owner, that was the most ignored part until Google started to penalize people whose sites were slow. And then everybody was forced to look into their loading time and changing the hosting, because many people were with slow hosting on slow hosting plans. Yeah. And I don't want to mention names because some people think I'm against a certain company, but there is one certain company that has a reputation in our industry, but I'm not going to mention the name.
Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of even hosting also comes from word of mouth. Like how does this come, has it improved your website? And I will say the hosting that I was on previously, I was having a lot of issues because Divi is a very bloated and heavy theme to be on. And you really have to have good, fast hosting. And the hosting that I was on was so bad that I was having trouble even being able to edit my site.
Yes. And this is actually, it's very important to get the WordPress back end to load fast. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of time waiting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, then you're just sitting there for looking at your clock being like, okay, well, when is the screen gonna finish loading so I can and there's so many things going on.
There's no plugin for that. That's just the hosting. Like you can have a plugin that will make the site load faster for your visitor, but there's no plugin that makes WordPress back end load faster. If hosting is bad, hosting is bad. Yeah.
Good hosting is vital. So optimizing my site is kind of like my next step into increasing my traffic, because the more traffic I have, the better, sponsored offers I'll receive. And then I'm also gearing up to do more, because we're doing a big home remodel. So once that's finished, I'm gearing up to do a lot more video content. And I'm just recently, since I finished the optimization, I'm doing a lot of little updates to the website. I'm making it even more user-friendly, and I changed up the design very slightly, the colors. So I'm kind of giving it a little bit of a refresh. And so it was probably a good thing that I went through all this, because I'd been avoiding updating Divi for so long. So what I didn't mention is that once I got my website optimized, I was so excited. And I think that's where we met, because you saw my post. So I made a bragging post.
So you went from an F to an A or a B? I can't remember.
I was so excited. So I was an F, went to an A. I got my time down to I think it was 5.2 seconds.
Or something. Yeah.
And then I got my requests way down. My requests were 30 something or 40, they were way down, 40 something.
They got compressed. They're still 800, but the plugin WP Rocket would compress them together so that one request would bring a few images rather than every image coming alone.
It was very dramatic. Yeah. It went from 800 to 40. I was like, wow.
It caught up my attention because I always look at the loading time in seconds. I don't care much about A, B, C, D, F, whatever, because the criteria there, there's some things that you simply cannot do.
Yeah.
For example, if your site has a lot of JavaScript, and if this JavaScript is part of the user interaction, like filling a form or whatever, sometimes when you combine all these JavaScripts into one file, which the
it'll
plugin
mess up
would
your site.
Exactly, which the plugin would have you do, it will mess up the look and feel, or the animations, like all these little things that happens when the page loads.
Now I will say that WP Rocket, they actually did turn out to be very helpful. I'm the type of person that like, I'm constantly, when I'm trying to figure all this stuff out, I probably spend all my time on support emails, support chats.
But that's good that, yeah, you tried, because I would recommend WP Rocket for people who are looking to buy a premium plugin to do their optimization.
Yeah, it's very good. And they ended up being pretty helpful. So I wasn't able to get like the deferred JavaScript or something like that. I wasn't able to get that working, and I reached out to them. And so they went on my site for me. And I guess there were a few things that they needed to omit. So they actually did that for me, which I would not have figured out on my own. So it's, you know, they can be very helpful because they know their plugin better than anyone else. And so I was able to activate things that I normally would have not been able to activate because they helped me and helped omit certain things that would have caused a conflict. So that was helpful. And so I ended up having to completely re-optimize my site after I did it the first time, because people.
So after getting it down from 20 to 5, you still had to do some work on it.
No, I had to completely start from scratch, kind of, because people in the group had notified me that like my mobile menu wasn't working.
Oh yeah, the mobile, I remember that, yeah.
And I was like, shit. And here I thought
so the mobile menu was messed.
So I ended up having to update Divi, which caused so many problems.
It's not Divi, it's definitely a plugin.
But so what I ended up learning, so I'd never heard of a staging site before. So I learned that you can actually make a staging site of your website. And so I had Divi support help me on the staging site.
Perfect. I think I'd recommended the same thing to you, if you remember.
Yes. Like, so I learned, I learned something
so that you don't break your site. Yeah, put the staging site and break it. It doesn't matter, play around.
Yes. So they helped me on the staging site because when I went to update Divi, it threw everything off. I mean, like some of my CSS coding was all weird.
Because, I think it's because of the CDN. Yep.
Yeah. So my site looked very wonky, and I'm like, oh gosh. So I had to, after spending a week optimizing my site, then my site was a mess. It was a hot mess. So then Divi had to help me correct all the little things that were wrong. Then I had to push my site live, which also caused problems. So that was a headache within itself. That took me like a week. And then once I finally had Divi updated and my site was back, then I had to re-optimize it. So I had to redo pretty much everything, but at least I knew which plugins to use. After I updated Divi and re-optimized the site, it actually scored even better. So it ended up being a good thing. Now my speed is like 3.2 seconds and my ratings are an A, and it even brought down my requests. So it ended up working out. But it took me 2 weeks. It was a lot of work, and so very frustrating.
And 2 weeks kind of full time, right? Like
every day. Yeah. I mean, literally from when I woke up to when I went to bed, I was working on my website all day long. And a lot of it is spent on like support chats. Like, why isn't this working?
Trying to figure out what's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a handful, but it's.
Would you do it again? Would you do it for somebody? No.
I would do it for someone, because I know that most people's websites are not as complicated as mine.
As yours, of course.
Mine is
Yes,
very
yes.
complicated. I have tons of CSS. It's like very, I've customized it over the years. And so most people have a pretty simple website, especially if it's like a business or something like that. My website is so many pages, and
it's a live thing. Like it's
yeah, my website is just always like changing and growing. So I think now, knowing what I know, I would be able to help someone else. The S3 bucket, though, that was a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
I do not want to
definitely.
ever have to do that over.
Just try to, every
I
image
feel like
goes,
there's actually alternative solutions now. A lot of these image plugins are now using their own CDN. So
yes,
people may
indeed.
not even need to bother with the whole S3 bucket thing. People can probably
Yes,
just
because I think there's no benefit of you being on an S3 bucket if
it
you're
just
using a
saves space
CDN,
on your
because
server.
yeah, because the CDN will copy all these images over so that it can cache them and distribute them from a server location. So let me simplify this to our audience. So a CDN is a content distribution network, guys. And basically what it does, so if you look at how websites generally work, when you go to www.something.com, that's called a request. So you're requesting a resource from the server. So usually with nothing else, like with no CDN or S3 bucket or anything, all these resources come from the server. So the text that you have, the look and feel, which has the colors and the CSS code, the animation or anything that moves there, this is a JavaScript code, and your images as well as your videos. Everything comes from a single location, which is your server. Now, if all my clients are in one region, so let's say I'm West Coast, United States and Canada, and almost everyone accessing my website is West Coast as well. So the best thing is to have my site hosted on a server that's in the West Coast region. So this way, all of us are close to the server and things are fast enough. But of course, that's not the case. When you have a website, you have clients and visitors from all over the world. So since you can't have multiple copies of your website in every country in the world, you use a content distribution network. And basically what it does, it takes a copy of your website, distributes it to their own server and their own servers everywhere. It's like a mirror copy. And then if somebody in Australia is accessing your website, is doing a request to access your website to see something or read a post or something, they get it served from a server in Australia. So it's closer to them. It makes everything faster. That process happens seamlessly. So like you just have to go create a CDN account, pay for it. Usually most of the CDNs, they have their own plugin, or like Sondra here, you ended up with a plugin called Offload, Media Offloader.
Well, so actually.
Oh, and WP Rocket is doing something for you as well, right?
No, so I use CloudFront for my images. Okay. But what I discovered when I was trying to optimize my site was that you can actually use both Cloudflare and CloudFront at the same time. So CloudFront is connected to my S3 bucket. And so CloudFront serves my images, but Cloudflare is where is the CDN for my website and for all of the, JavaScript and CSS and all that stuff. So I don't know, what would we call that?
Yeah, the CDN. Yeah, you're using Cloudflare
that's like all
as
the
your
technical,
CDN.
The technical components, the little
So
background.
CloudFront gets those images from your S3 bucket, and then it gives them to Cloudflare to serve.
Yes, but Cloudflare, which is different than CloudFront. So Cloudflare serves everything else. Cloudflare serves, all the background coding and the JavaScript and all that stuff. So I didn't know that it was compatible, that you could use both, because trying to just use CloudFront was not working. It was not compatible. It wasn't helping. So I said, okay, well, now that I know that I can have both, let me just sign up for Cloudflare, which is connected to SiteGround. They're like
Yeah,
partners.
you can do it from inside
And it's, yes, and
SiteGround.
it's completely free. And so, and they have a little thing to help you set it up. So it wasn't too difficult. I had to change like a DNS record.
Yes.
It wasn't too difficult. I could do it on my own. So once I set up Cloudflare, that helped me that helped me really optimize
So
the
it
website.
dropped the time to the first byte
Yes,
and the
it
time
dropped
of
it.
loading.
My light went out, so it dropped it drastically. So, and then I saw that there were a few images that even after being optimized, they were still a little too big. And so I went into Photoshop and I
Yes.
redid the images and re-uploaded them and deleted the
So
old
guys,
one.
this is the most important part. Say that again, please, because some people don't understand the difference between resizing an image and optimizing it for speed, which has a little bit of a compression component. But before you compress the image, it has to be the right size that the browser will serve. So you have to resize it in your Photoshop or whatever graphic editor you have. Like
Yes, and
GIMP
usually
or
with the Divi theme, they tell you, you can Google it and look up what the different recommended sizes are. So for my articles, I had made the longest, the width. It was
like
1200. Yeah, it was 1200, but I realized that I could get away with doing 900, which considerably sized down the image. And then in Photoshop, you go to export to web.
Yep.
And it will compress the image for you without losing too much of the quality. So I try to get my images to be no bigger than 50 kilobytes. I try to keep them around there or under, but obviously for years,
sometimes
I did not know this. So there's tons of, luckily a plugin like EU Image will help with that, but it's always great to just optimize it before you even put it on the website.
So all those plugins, what they do is they either compress it, sometimes they even change the image extension or the image formation itself to WebP, which is the new web.
Yes. So we're working on that currently.
Yeah.
So EU Image will create a WebP image and serve it, but I'm having an issue with that right now. So currently, this optimization that I have is without WebP images. So I'm hoping that once we can get that working, that it'll be even better. So I've been in contact with their support, and people have to understand when you have an issue, it does not get solved right away. It is a back and forth for days. And so I've been dealing with the WebP issue for about maybe 3 or 4 days now.
Wow.
With their support. So they're on my website now.
I'm interested actually to know, because I think that WP Rocket can do the WebP part or can't.
So the
EOS part. Yeah.
They can't create it.
Yeah.
They can only serve it. So if I'm already using the EU Image.
And this was recommended by them, right? Because I think there's a relationship between the two plugin makers or something. Because you get like a discount if you buy one, you get a discount on the other.
I have no idea. I definitely just paid for it. I just wanted to get it over with. So you have to. So WP Rocket, they use Imagify or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They use something else.
They use their own, but they're not compatible with offload media. So that's why I'm using a different image plugin.
Which is I don't know how many W's. EU Image. And why, I mean, I want to make it clear for our listeners and, people watching us. Why is it important to have your website load that fast?
Well, for me, it's especially important because I'm a pretty impatient person. So if I go on a website and it's taking too long, I'll leave.
Would
And
you come
so,
back again later?
no, because most people aren't saving
Yeah.
all these different websites that they've visited. When I'm doing marketing, I tell my clients that people are lazy and impatient. So if you just imagine
Yeah.
that every single person that's a possible customer is lazy and impatient, you need to design your website with that in mind. So they're impatient, so you need it to load fast. They're lazy, so they don't want to find all these different
Yeah,
ways
10
to
clicks.
contact you.
Yeah.
Get a contact form on your website, make it easy for them, and that's why I'm doing other updates to my website to make it more user friendly and add in more search features so that people can stay on the website longer and look up different things. But if they, say they're looking up chicken recipes and they see a bunch of recipes and you don't give them an avenue to look up other recipes, then they're going to stop right there. So you want to make your website so that people can look for other things. That's why you want to have search boxes and different tabs and ways that people can move around through your website and make it easy for them.
So, I mean, I envision the website is like a mall, kind of like a small mall. And then, like some of the malls you get in and you get lost. Like you want to go to a certain shop.
A directory.
Yeah. And then, there's a big scandal here now. They were taking facial recognition. They were using a facial recognition software without telling people that they're doing that.
Oh, that's not good.
And then they said, oh, we were just testing to know, the gender and the age bracket that our visitors come from. And it's illegal. So now, like, I think they got caught up on it. I can't remember the name of the company. They own like 6-7 malls in the US and Canada. And they must have collected millions of faces during the trial period they've done in a year and a bit. But that's interesting because people used to go to that directory, the electronic directory, and the cameras were inside. But I digressed. I'm saying is that the website is a similar experience, only you don't have that directory of help. You may have some controlled navigation that takes you through a certain path. Let's say, for example, I get on your website and I'm looking at recipes. And then from there, if I'm looking at a chicken recipe and maybe I'm vegetarian, so I want to look at a vegetarian recipe, somewhere there where I am would tell me, hey, here is the vegetarian stuff, and here is the beef stuff, and here is the...
Exactly. So you have to make sure that they have the the navigation that they need in order to find the next thing that they might be looking for. So my site before, it only had that on certain pages. And so that's something that I basically have spent the week kind of figuring out how the best way to organize it. But I discovered Divi's theme builder, which was actually super helpful. So I was able to customize like all my archive pages, and I use tons of tags and put all the tags into categories. So I was able to design all of my like category pages and tag pages so that when someone does click on like chicken recipe, instead of just seeing all these articles, it now shows it in like a masonry grid, which is just much more pleasing. You can just see all the different recipes instead of having to scroll down like a bunch of articles. So it's much more like pleasing to the eye. So we did that. I added in more recipe tags so people could just go from, one to the next. And then I took that and I put it on the other pages. So I kind of created different ones. The theme builder's really, really great. I've never used it before, but you can even separate the tags. So I have a page that's just for recipe, and then I have another page that's for tags like restaurants and travel and so I was able to separate the two.
I love the fact that you have so much content that needs to be,
Oh my gosh.
organized, because
Yes.
people forget. This is the thing, like you get most small business owners, they start somewhere. We all start somewhere. We build a website, and then some of us blog, some of us don't blog, and so on. But the fact that makes things more interesting for you and for your prospect customers, guys, is being active, is actually consistently adding content to your website. Be it you blogging, or maybe you're sharing interesting stuff. Like, you don't have to write everything yourself. You could pretty much comment on something that you've seen that's of interest to you, that could be of interest to your readers, and you can just link back to it. So you can create a new post, and for example, like, I don't have any recipes. I can go to Sondra's site, find the recipe that I actually like, try it, and then write a post about how it tasted after I tried it, and then link back to her. This is where I got the original recipe from. So visitors to my site find something interesting to read. B, I'm giving her some juice back, because if they want to go and find out where it came from, and then while they're there, they find something else that's more interesting while browsing her website. And this is how we kind of build reciprocal links without bothering each other and sending spam emails. Hey, can I link back to your site or whatever? It's
Which
just
is actually
a more
very
natural.
important because Google prioritizes backlinks a lot. So your page authority, a lot of that has to do with how many other people, how many other websites are talking about your website. And so backlinking to other relevant websites is very important for your search engine optimization. So I have, anytime I write about a restaurant, I make sure to send them my
Some
logo
juice. Yes.
and the article. So maybe in case they want to link to that article on their website.
Yeah.
And then there's also a lot of different recipe groups that do like different roundups of recipes where they feature other people's recipes and link to it. So there's a lot of different ways in different communities that have ways to backlink and to kind of increase your page authority.
What I like about it is that this is the natural, organic way, and it's not like some kind of a software bot trying to go and create hundreds of links somewhere.
You want it to be organic.
Yeah. You don't want to, it's kind of, when you get these spam emails offering you SEO from, I don't know, halfway across the world. And the majority of them, they use black hat SEO stuff. Like, they have a bot that creates thousands of links. But the thing is, these links are created in size that have absolutely no connection to what you're doing. Like, I don't know, do I want to link to my site somewhere that's completely irrelevant? Like,
it should be relevant. And I have a feeling that Google can probably tell.
It will tell,
if it's relevant. I mean, it's Google, so.
So what's next? After you've done all that work on your own, where do you want to take your site next?
So after I finish doing some of the little design tweaks that I'm currently doing, and especially once the remodel is finished, I'm going to be working a lot on doing more recipes and doing video content. So we're going to be making videos of the different recipes. So that's kind of the next thing that I'm going to be working on. And then I'll probably work with like a site that actually hosts the videos, because
like
YouTube
Vimeo,
is awful for page speed. That's another thing I discovered. So I'll probably, once I have a lot of video content, work with a company that actually serves the videos on their server.
Try your S3 bucket, see if that works well. If it doesn't.
Well, I also do video ads. So I found a website that does, they host videos and they serve ads on the videos so that you're not going through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like kind of made and designed for that. So I did a bunch of research, and so that way, once I have all the video content, I'm ready for it.
Nice.
So that's kind of the next.
I would usually recommend Vimeo because it's very easy and it's not expensive. I think it's $14 a month, the Vimeo Pro. There are a couple of other networks, video hosting networks. I can't remember their names now. When I do, I'll put it down as a link below our video on YouTube. But Vimeo is like the easiest idea that comes to mind. Mind you, I see a lot of new players now coming to the market, and some of them may have better speed. You're on a CDN, so it's also a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
Than
well,
just
I
like
found it.
Yeah.
I found the site because I was looking at another food blogger's website who does recipes, and her site was pretty quick, but she had tons of video content. So I did a quick search on the
to find out where they're hosted. Yeah,
I did a little back development, what do they
F12.
call that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little developer search to find out what was she using. And then that's how I found this company that it serves the videos on their server, but it also has ads in it. And so it's a way to get more ad revenue without going kind of like through these other companies.
So it's similar to YouTube because they will inject their own ads, but they will not have like recommended videos at the end. So your user's attention is not taken somewhere else.
Yes, that's true as well. And they work with their own ad network. So you make a little more on the ads. And it's a site that you pay for. So you pay to have them host it, but it's very quick. YouTube is not quick. YouTube is very slow. So this website, it's specifically made. If you have a lot of video content on your website, it serves it very quickly.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Offline, please send me the link and I'll also put it there. Let people check them out. It's everything we spoke about here today, guys. I'm going to put the links below the video when I post it to YouTube and all the other channels where the podcast goes. I'll also have Sondra's websites, both of them, the work website and the Cuisine and Travel website, which actually I'm going to go in and play around a little bit and find some recipes and some restaurants. I've never been to New Beach Port. I mean, it's once the
Newport Beach.
What did I say? What did I call it?
You said New Beach Port.
New Beach Port. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, it's beautiful.
Newport Beach, guys. Yeah.
But you live in Vancouver, which is also really, really a beautiful city.
We've done like many trips to California for different reasons. And, when I was working for corporate IT, I used to go to California because it has lots of the IT companies that I was working with. So I've done like the usual, LA many times, San Francisco only once. I'd love to go back again.
Well, I think you would like Newport Beach better.
Yeah, I've had a meeting somewhere. I forgot the name of the place, you probably know. Right next to Disneyland. What is this area called?
Next to Disneyland?
Yeah, like that. It's south of LA. So like if you land in LA, get your car and drive Anaheim. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. So yes,
just close to Orange. All what I remember is it was close to Orange County.
Yes. So Anaheim is in Orange County.
Yeah, perfect.
But it's more inland where I'm like on the beach.
On the beach. Yeah. Oh, so it's like it's a diagonal, like if you go all the way left or west until you see the water, that's it. That's where you are.
Yes.
And then, down like, I didn't go all the way to San Diego. I just couldn't drive all the way. And the furthest south I've been was La Jolla. And that's it. I didn't go further.
No, okay. So La Jolla is below where I'm at. And La Jolla is very close to San Diego. And it's beautiful. Newport Beach is a lot like La Jolla.
Nice. Yeah, I love the water. I mean, we share the same Pacific, but the water here is way colder. I think you guys can swim, and well, I wouldn't say we don't swim. Some people do, but I don't. It's too cold.
Yeah, I think even the water here, I think is too cold. I stay out of
Yeah,
the water.
stay out of the water or
I'll go
wear
in a
like, I don't
jacuzzi.
know, Batman suit. So it's interesting. I'm glad we had this conversation, Sondra. Before we go, I just something that I wanted to ask you about and completely forgot was your backups. Now that you're on SiteGround, are you backing up your site using SiteGround or using
Yeah.
something else?
So SiteGround backs up your site automatically, like every day.
That's good, because you know when you say I'm scared every time Divi has an update,
I'm still scared.
do a backup, full backup, or delete your.
I've had issues with backup. I've
I
had
tell you what to
issues where
do.
I tried to implement the backup and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
it
it's
didn't
not coming
work.
back. Yeah.
And then I'm back on tech support.
Oh God, yeah. Personally, I use Managed WP. I don't use the hosting backup. I use Managed WP for backups and updates, upgrades, and stuff like that. It makes my life easier because what it does, it will take a snapshot of the site before applying any update. And then if I apply the update and something is not right, instead of me breaking my head trying to figure out what went wrong, I would just restore from the backup and that's it. And then I'll take this on a staging server, and this is where I go and break my head, try to troubleshoot. But at least the live website is there, is not affected until I find out how to fix it, and then I would switch them over, like from live push it to production. And it's not that hard, but you have to be careful. And I think your situation is a little bit more complex because you have lots of places where things are coming from, like CloudFront with Cloudflare and the S3 bucket. And every time you make a change, you got to remember to delete the cache from WP Rocket and let it
Well, I have
recache.
a lot. I have like
Yeah.
3 different caches that I'm constantly deleting. So especially now, usually I'm not updating my website constantly. So it's kind of like a thing I'm just doing now.
Would it make your life easier if your back end is taken care of completely and then you can just focus on the website content instead of always having to go and be kind of scared every time there's an update coming up?
So yes, absolutely. But I always feel like my situations are way more complicated than like
anyone.
the average person's. And I'm like, okay, I'm like a developer. I'm like, I don't think they're gonna know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Because I have like weird, crazy issues. Like when I tried to update my Divi, the first time I tried to update it and they kind of crashed my site, they put it on a weird parent theme. So I had like 2 Divi parent themes. It was very weird. Like one site was on like Divi-4, and then the other site,
that's a staging site. Yeah.
Then there was on a Divi, and I couldn't update the Divi that my site was on. It was very, very weird. And then so when they were on my staging site, they put my website on regular Divi that could be updated, and they got rid of the Divi-4. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
like a child. Yeah.
So when I went to push the updates, that's why it didn't work, because it wasn't like.
There's a trick that I learned as well, which sometimes we forget to look at it. If you go to the settings of the Divi itself, it does have a minify CSS and a minify JavaScript button in the settings
I have
screen.
those.
And then if you go there and click on the builder part, but not the Divi builder, the builder that's in the settings part of the Divi, there's a clear button where you have to clear the Divi cache, because also Divi maintains its own cache. And if you have 5, 6 different caches working together, sometimes they will not play nicely and you wouldn't see what you're supposed to see. And I find that if you're doing like the full Monty, like you've got the Rocket and the CloudFront and the Cloudflare together.
It's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's no point of having Divi also caching itself. So you can switch that off in the settings. Just clear it and switch it off. And then in the main Divi setup, just switch off Minify, CSS, and JavaScript, because it's going to be done for you anyway.
Yeah,
with,
it's going to be
the
done
other
anyway.
stuff that you're using. And this sometimes is why you have Divi parent and Divi child and the same website.
Yeah, I still don't understand.
And they look
all
different.
That.
Yeah.
I don't understand anything about the child theme thing. Still confuses me.
The child theme is something we resort to only if we want to do some customization that Divi itself will not allow us to do from the menus. Like you have to go to the functions file in the back end in your hosting and write some code in. So if you just have Divi or any theme and you open that functions file and you write your code in, next time there's an update, it will overwrite it. So whatever code you put in will get lost. So that's why they tell you, okay, the workaround is do a child theme from your main theme and then go to the functions of the child theme to put your code. And this way, every time the parent theme gets updated, your code, your custom code will not be overwritten because it's in a child theme. That's
well, maybe I need to put my site on a child theme then.
So you can create a new child theme from your Divi right now.
I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah,
I'll contact Divi support. I'll contact Divi support and I'll ask him about it. I'm not even going to touch it. It's like I don't have any more weeks in me.
No more weeks to do.
Yeah, exhausted.
It's been a great experience having this conversation with you, Sondra. Thank you very much for being on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.